Hello, Dr. Young. This is Dr. Young. Welcome again to IME 4020. And this is the video lecture for the first week, which was supposed to be a very low impact week, get people used to the Slack environment, start discussing, but sort it out in groups. And so I was trying to do it with a very low information content, something interesting, something surprising, but something that everybody could handle in the first week and just to sort of get used to discussing things. So I have to apologize for some confusing instructions that made a lot of people do more work than I really intended to have you do. And I'm referring to the stuff on peer accountability. What I thought I was doing was giving you a link so you could look up peer accountability if you were interested in it. But the way I phrased it made it look like something you had to read and had to comment on. And so a lot of people put a lot of effort into that. And I apologize for that. Not entirely wasted effort, but it's effort that I did not intend to make you take. Right. You guys did some really good discussion of that. And I recommend everybody read people's comments on peer accountability because there was a lot of good stuff there. The most important one that came through was that the accountability groups, as described in the article, are much more suited for high school, maybe middle school environment, and not so helpful for a college environment. And there was also the element of being very judging each other, and I don't like that at all. I was hoping I want the groups to be at least to some extent for mutual support and encouragement. You can talk about your problems and get people to that and maybe get some advice here and there. I think your peers are much more able to understand where you're at and what you're dealing with than I am, being I'm a baby boomer. Like baby boom, we don't understand anything. And I'm an instructor, of course, so there. So yeah, there are some adult accountability groups out there, but that seems to be a sort of specialized thing for people who are having trouble in their lives getting forward, and so that doesn't seem to be suitable. Right. Oh, and I apologize if I haven't gotten your grade in yet for the discussion, your discussion posts. I'm still working on that. And I've decided that it's probably better if I reduce the requirement to one discussion post per module. You can make more posts. If you make 2 discussion posts in one module, I'll sort of use the second one to make up when you missed the previous module, if you weren't able to comment then, or I'll just sort of roll it forward. So I want everybody to get a chance to discuss. And if you did a lot of discussing this week, maybe you could sit back and sort of encourage people, be supportive when other people post next week. There's also going to be the Zoom coming up, and participating in the Zoom will also get credit, and that'll fulfill the discussion requirement. I'm going to use an ancient form of technology to try to keep track of who participates and make sure you get credit. And as always, if you do something in the class that you think needs to be credited and I don't credit it, you can email me and I'll fix it up. All right. So now on to the official subject matter for this module. And the official subject matter for the module was 2 things. One is to learn to discuss effective study practices. But there were 2 deeper points. One is I wanted to put you through a sort of trick exercise where I give you an assignment that is kind of wrong-headed and then you subvert it, because sometimes instructors will tell you to do stuff or to study stuff that actually is wrong or it doesn't work. And then when you do the research, I'll fit in with my mustache here. When you do the research, you find out it is wrong. And so I pitched this prompt: find out your learning style and talk about how to teach to it. And when you do the reading, it turns out to be complete nonsense. In fact, learning styles, the idea of learning styles seems to be astrology for academics. That's the way to look at it, is it's a kind of astrology. It's a lot like astrology. People like to think I'm a Pisces and or a Taurus, and I do things this way, and it actually has no connection. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. I like telling people I'm a Libra and we don't believe in astrology. But it's not real, right? And for your education, it's a good thing to concentrate on stuff that is real. And the thing that's most important is quiz practice, practicing taking quizzes. Quiz yourself, quiz your friends, do practice quizzes, because it's based on retrieval. You are practicing retrieving information, and just like lifting weights improves muscles and so on, this improves your brain. Your brain is a physical organ, and it improves with practice, with use. And using it to retrieve is what does it. So practice quizzing is a really good thing. Distributed practice, I think, works between, and this is the second thing, to do some metacognition, to think about why things work, which as engineers, you're obviously used to doing. So why does distributed practice work? I think it works because it allows your brain to rest a little bit between practice sessions. And that's why in your study spaces, if you have something nice to look at or something to fiddle with, a game, something that you can take a break, that actually helps. You let your brain relax. Right. So they talk about interleaved practice. That's a kind of a dodgy one. If you're interleaving your practice with something that's just as tiring as what you're doing, I don't see how it would really help. If you're interleaving with something that rests part of your brain, for instance, you say you're doing something very technical, engineering mathematics or physics, and then you have a voice class, and so you stop and you sing or you play a musical instrument, and then you interleave that with some woodworking, right, or carving or something like that, using different parts of your brain at different times. I think that might work. Oh, and I've heard that it works if you're doing the same general subject, right? If you have two chemistry classes and you study a bit for one and then you study for the other, you might start seeing connections between the two classes, and that gives you an insight into the deeper meaning of chemistry. Elaboration. I think elaboration improves understanding, but it doesn't help you study for tests. So if you're studying a subject in the sense of, I want to know how all this works, then elaborating, writing up little accounts, writing up summaries for explanations for other students or just for yourself, that can help you understand it. But memorization, to remember stuff, you need to do the retrieval. Right? Summarizing is an interesting thing. It may improve understanding. It does not improve retention. It's an important skill for writing up memos and things, but it does not improve retention. It's not a study strategy for a test. Things like cramming, rereading, memorizing, highlighting, underlining, they don't work. And I believe they don't work because they don't use retrieval. The way to train your brain to remember things is to remember things. I use this when used to have to remember. I'm very old. I come from a time when people had to remember phone numbers. And so if someone gave me a phone number, I'd repeat it to myself, then I'd wait a few seconds, and then I'd remember it. And then I'd wait a half a minute, and then I'd remember it. And so repeated remembering spaced over time really burned that number into my skull. Right. So, okay, so that's that part of it. There's a Zoom coming up where we will discuss this or anything else to do with the course. And there's going to be a quiz, and the quiz is Thursday, available Thursday, due Thursday night. It will stay available through Friday and probably the weekend and maybe longer. I want to give people a chance to get that in. Okay, I think that's it. And again, there's the Zoom coming up where we can discuss things. All right, thank you very much for your attention. I will see you all in the upcoming Zoom.